Greetings and salutations, mappers, and welcome back to Honkai Star Rail. As you can see, I'm still coughing up a storm. I feel a lot better, but the coughing is just not going away. It is destroying my ribs. And abs. But we do want to get through all this. So let's suffer through. So since I can't actually read anything out, we gotta not do Ace Attorney for a while until this cough goes away. So let's continue on. Wow, it's getting worse. Let's continue on with as I've written and get all the background stories. So we finished Tripios. I think the next one would be Aglaya? Because it would be Tripios, Aglaya, and then Saridra into Hycillans. Maybe Cypher. And then we'll go Casterus, Mighty, Hyacinth, Naxa, Evernight, Danhung, and finish all our final. We're probably gonna get through 2 today, but that's the plan. I immediately F's the plan.
A city that warriors look back upon before marching toward the battlefield. The holy city, the sanctuary of all the citizens. Just as the poets of the city have sung,
the epitome of magnificence, unbounded benevolence.
And the beauty of the holy city is like Aglaya herself, dressed in finery and of noble birth. She is the dressmaster of Akama, the one who weaves with golden threads.
But there's one thing she'll never be able to achieve.
A jealous whisper can be heard.
She will never be able to produce something seamless.
Golden threads quiver, and a gentle wind rustles by her ear. She maintains her silence, but others fan the flames. Is that so hard? Her scissors and rulers are better than any garment maker, sculpting forms as perfect as the gods themselves.
Lady Aglaya, grace our eyes with your most elegant creation.
No.
Ingratiating words do not sit well with me, nor do duplicitous machinations.
Her gaze flits across the stoa, equally regarding every member of the public. They used to wonder, how exactly do her eyes perceive if something is beautiful or not? As with the holy city that's perpetually bathed in light. How do people tell apart cozy mornings and frosty nights? For the Weaver, the answer lies in her golden threads. Golden threads of the goddess of romance now serve as her hands and eyes. The colors of the world, intertwined with the undertones of human hearts, come flooding toward her. These golden threads are no less prideful than the master they now belong to.
As long as the thread has form, it is enough to craft seamless finery.
Be it stitched finely and tightly, or cut cleanly with a single stroke.
Hardly a challenge. None of these pose a challenge.
The same word rolls off her tongue twice, the latter as soft as a sigh. The one who weaves gold gazes past me, fixed on something much farther. The network of threads that entwine all between the heaven and earth. The only challenge that she relentlessly dedicates herself to is weaving the fate of Akama into a flawless, seamless outcome. A long line stretched across the square. Merchants, shopkeepers, and even high society elite, all lined up together without distinction. At the head of the line was the path to Aglaya's abode. Is the holy city's fashion trendsetter going to reveal her newest masterpiece?
She's about to get rid of her failed pieces!
Now I see why the holy city is free of worries. Even as the inn nears, they're still obsessed with lavish clothing.
New to Akama, a visitor from elsewhere ends up utterly bewildered at the sight. It is said that a family of priests who worship Nestia go way back with the Weaver. But her impeccable gift for weaving isn't meant to serve anyone's pursuit for pleasure. What was once a sacred duty was misunderstood by the beauty-obsessed, who mistook fallen shreds for priceless treasures.
Are flawed creations really still worth the people's adoration?
The Weaver shakes her head. She seems to have forgotten something. It is precisely the flawed hero who walks ahead of the crowd, who casts a long shadow over the world, and who strides toward everlasting daylight. There are, nevertheless, people whom the Weaver is willing to sew and tailor for. Her conditions, though.
Beauty sharp as a blade, and the relentless pursuit of beauty. Me! I want to be showered with a thunderous ovation, and lots of flowers.
A melodramatic poet speaks out.
I want to stir her emotions.
The voice of a blushing young boy.
Do I fit the bill? My sister and I are refugees from the Abyss. I want to get a pair of shoes for her.
A seated child speaks up. Next to him is a bare-footed girl, staying silent with her head kept low. Unfortunately, gold threads are willful things. They are never swayed by sympathy or pity. A tense and worried look surfaces on the young child's countenance. The specks of dirt on his face brought back memories of a past encounter.
Go.
The Weaver begins.
Go to the 3 children in the city.
As messengers of Janus, they will bring him the shoes he hopes for.
Okay, so that was Memories of Cypher. That's cute. Because this came out in 3.1, I think. So yeah, that's nice little foreshadowing.
A solo lyre's sound flows along the streets.
Oh, my lover, why does your mood change faster than the clouds above?
The audience's face is covered in sorrow.
Oh, how I wish she has clear eyes that are quick to anger and laughter, and dimples that crease in smiles and frowns.
For the maiden he longs for has a body of alabaster and fingers carved by scalpels. In her runs blood of gold and a heart woven from threads. She has neither eyes nor dimples, lacking even a face, for she is a Goliath's garment maker, merely a demigod's serf. The gilded dressmaster, the executive of romance. How resplendent would her mansion be above the radiant dawning clouds. Nervously, the visitor opens the doors like parting curtains at a theater. The one with golden thread in hand is revealed, standing betwixt figures of stone.
Lady Aglaya, I am Apollos' retainer, here for an outfit to take to my master.
He casts sideways glances as he bows, for the garment maker he adores is flanking her mistress, silent as a leaf accompanying a flower. Slender hands sculpted of ivory pull up the dress's train, as if with one breath alone the maiden will be revived.
The creation of love and beauty indeed.
As the visitor thinks thus, his thoughts prickle the golden threads in the room.
If you wish to embrace such fantasies,
She declares thus on the other end of the golden thread.
you must beware of the scissors that can pierce through the chest.
In the ancient theater, there are thousands of plays, millions of shows, where even the god of romance was once an actor. The weaver below the stage savors the show for inspiration. The ostracized poet finally returned home. The adoring lovers separated by misfortune. The hero betrayed fires his deadly arrow into the traitor's heart. The thread known as romance is knit by all beings, by all love and hatred, beauty and sin, memories and prophecies. All that occurs are clothing indeed. Look, the despondent servant buried his love. The dressmaster plucks it up, and into the garment maker's dress she weaves. The elegant garment makers once had beautiful faces, some as knights with swords, some as impassive priests, and put on pantomime after pantomime in the golden thread's light, till the stage shook in the storm, and the black tide tainted the dancers' skirts. She wiped clean their visages, and instilled armaments instead of silk.
Use the needle and thread as your sword.
She requests the servants who cannot answer. The garment makers are elegant still. They turn bloody and stained slaughter into lithe rondos, for only then can they still dress in new gowns. Only then can romance survive into the morrow. In the past, when strife swallowed the earth and schemes disrupted the hearts of friends, the maiden who was yet a weaver was wrapped in a cocoon most grand, untouched by the storms sweeping through the land. She spent her youth in a palace of romance, surrounded by treasures, with even maids beautiful beyond belief, often bathing in the praise and admiration of wealthy nobles. Till warfare set the threads aflame, and the devoutly praying priest was slaughtered before the altar. The family adored by all perished before their courtyards, and the blood of her maidservants dyed her golden mantle red. The golden threads covering her eyes snapped, and the concealed truth finally appeared firsthand.
Before a strong wind, a weak nobility cannot stand.
In the long, endless war, the Gold Weaver family was shattered by the sword, and the legacy of romance became a tragedy. She had a broken mansion and an empty house. The nobles who once loved her, none now willing to help her. All the romance, talent, peerage, and beauty, what use are they in a disaster? As she closed her eyes in melancholy, the maidservant pushed a broken loom to her earnestly.
Miss, would you like to pick up the shuttle again and weave for me?
The young miss wanted to laugh, but could only respond with shock. For the maid's face was now covered in scars as she fought to protect her mistress's safety.
Though I can no longer see, I still want to don the garments you weave.
And yet, when she heard this, the desire to weave overcame her fears. Therefore, in the broken shadows of a house, the loom of romance moved once more. The garments were exchanged for copious gold, buying back her renown of old. Yet beside this mistress most noble, there was always a blind maid in tow, dressed in luxuries unfitting. As the weaver attended banquets, the praises of her youth returned.
That majestic lady must be Nestia in the flesh.
But harsh words also joined.
The mistress's beauty is quite reduced by a maidservant so unsightly.
The maidservant apologized in embarrassment, lowering her head.
My mistress, I have brought you shame.
Yet her mistress brought her to the middle of the ball, having her garbed in the latest dress as the model. She now knew that praises and ridicule were both untrue, and that romance cared not for beauty of the face. The golden thread of gods exists only within. She is no longer that helpless girl. She already carries the gods' authority and walks the hero's route. But she still cannot hold back the calamity of strife. The unsightly maidservant blocked the dagger aimed at the mistress's soul, and blood once again dyed red something she wove. That was the last time in her life the maid's face she clearly beheld. When sewing the death shroud, she could not control how her fingers shook, often pricked by the needle, sharp and acute. Thus, that pristine white cloth wept with tears of blood and gloom. And when the day of the funeral came, she saw the commoners' endless graves, and the nobles dressed in silk, frolicking in the groves, and sadness overwhelmed her in droves. this the destiny unleashed for their act of chasing God's core flames? She kneels before the divine statues and prays to Nestia of romance to look at these garments soaked in blood from the flames of war.
Why are those that appear so fair in fact ugly in truth? Why do faces unsightly contain souls cut from noble cloth? Why can the blind see the light? And why do those with eyes only see night?
The dying god remains silent.
If you no longer have the power to see, then with my destiny,
She grasps the burning core flame.
I'll exchange for eyes that can see everything.
Warm liquid flows from her eyes that now see all. In that instance, she is sure that she saw the manifestation of beauty. She can see the most delicate colors, the most distant contours. She can see the most secret desires, and through the most perfect liars.
But being able to see everything is the same as seeing nothing.
Countless mirages and cacophony surround her with stimuli plenty, casting her into another kind of blindness overwhelming. So she soaks herself in the bath and lets her golden thread go beyond the palace. When the water drops on the thread vibrate and shiver, she closes her eyes and listens to the echoes silently. She hears how a mother's feet were wounded for treading over too many stones, and is soaking her feet in the hot water bath. She hears children playing next to the pools, and someone is saying loudly,
I heard that the Golden Goddess also likes to visit the baths.
She's used to bathing alone at the start of the hours of lucid or parting. Her golden hair spread in the water like a throne, like the scattered golden threads, wrapping her again in a cocoon. Janus's holy maiden silently walks over, scooping up water to wash the weaver's hair, as if cleansing the bough of a laurel tree. That is when the one who sees the core flame finally knows. There's no difference between a demigod and a true deity. The golden blood that congealed through divinity only in this heavy heat can temporarily flow and let this golden butterfly feel a fleeting warmth. Just as she had once touched her own face, falls the final tear her eyes will ever produce.
Teacher, I had a dream.
She recounts, like a young girl on a whim. The sound of the water repels all disruptions and speech. Such peaceful rest, such sweet dreams. She dreamed of how she was a naive, noble girl, ignorant of the world. She dreamed of the countless nights when she worked in the courtyards she weaved. She dreamed of being before the vine-covered temple where the wind blew by in a violent stream. Lastly, she dreamed of the prophecy that she heeded, how the ancient sound came through the 1,000 waves and could not be heard clearly in her dream.
The dawn device is always glittering, and birds are always chittering.
The children of Akuma like these kinds of songs. Why not trust in the promise of an era Chrysia unending? Like how children believe in fairy tales passed down unceasing. But will the dawn device truly shine forever? Will the voices of songbirds not one day turn hoarse? In the golden bath in times gone by, she pierced her eyes, for she saw the all too dazzling future of everyone. That future was nothing compared to false promises. The gods have already determined her destiny and her passing. She knew. She has long known. The red-haired child appears worried.
You are aware of everyone's fate, yet never speak of your own future.
The child who passes along the prophecy understands that to lay such a heavy weight on one person is comparable to the dawn the world bearing Titan's shoulders.
There's only one future for silken threads. That is, to weave magnificent clothes for others.
She takes the children's hands, inviting them into the pools, intending to use warm water to wash away their concerns. Yes, before the toll of the bell that announces the hour, before the meeting to judge the flame chase begins. Do not waste the rare good dreams, or the languid waves, warm as tears. She mutters as destiny slumbers in her arms.
The one that wears this elegant attire in the future must bear the weight of the silk threads.
And that's all but Glad. Yep. That explains her... what would you call it? Opposition to the Elder Council. Other than the fact that they're all kind of, you know, dicks. They're obviously scheming something every time they're talking. How the nobles treated her when her family fell. And then her maid at the same time, like, treated the only person who supported her as garbage. Yeah. Don't like the nobility at all. Understandable. She truly was the most human. Alright, Sidra. Chessmaster, Monarch, Sidra. Imperator's Flame Chase Path.
Who would win? A young girl emerging from her sheath and showing her edge, or a tyrant who has emerged victorious from 100 battles? The black and white legions squared off on the battlefield, golden and crimson blood converging into a coursing river.
The leader herself actually dares to step forth and face peril?
The tyrant charged toward the exposed gap in the king's flank, and instantly fell into a trap of raging flames and iron rain.
On the board, the king too is but a chess piece. If the king does not lead, how would any dare to follow?
She lifted the king of the crystal pieces high, as though proclaiming the ascension of a new king. Who would win? The holy city that has stood for 1,000 years, or the foreign city-states invading from 1,000 miles away? Hollow hatred ignited the flames of war. The besieged walls of dawn tottered.
Only a miracle can save us now.
The cowardly elders barred themselves behind closed doors, while the trembling citizenry knelt and prayed.
There is no need to panic. The miracle is already here.
Under the banners dancing like waves, the burning crown shone bright as the wheeling constellations. Who would win? The general who saved the city, or the high and mighty with their privileged authority? The guillotine fell, severing the elder's life. The whispers dissipated, and the scales of victory tipped.
From this day forth, I shall bring justice to the holy city.
The people cried out her name and knelt in reverence, but were stopped by the sound of the scepter of authority striking the ground.
Do not lower your heads beneath my crown.
This was the first and also the only Imperator. Who would win? The heroes bursting with ambition, or the omnipotent gods?
The Imperator issued the decree! The start of the Flame Chase journey is at hand!
Perhaps drawn by the grand design to welcome the Era Nova, or perhaps convinced by that king's great renown. Righteous warriors from across the land gathered before the Imperator's throne. On the day the journey began, the sky was an expanse of fluttering banners. The people gazed upon the overwhelming military alliance, a golden city reflected in their eyes. As for the end of that chess game, the scholars debate endlessly, but such discussions always end with a sigh. The invincible Imperator faded at the pinnacle of power, the crown's flames extinguished in the lake. The banner once revered by the people, along with the broken spears of the heroes, now a tomb. The people said,
Even the sovereign that conquers all before her is no match for fate.
Yet she said,
In a war with fate, has there ever been any justice?
back then, the tides of the Chrysos War had not yet engulfed this city-state of Talenton. And the young princess inside the gates once loved to roam without worries. She snuck into forbidden grounds while the servants were away, but was shocked by what she saw on that day. A chessboard, a stack of pieces, and a strange woman. The board dissected by daylight and shadow, the pieces polished from rough stones uneven.
Fancy a game? If you are my match, then I'll call you my friend.
The stranger's voice was husky and coarse.
If you can beat me, then I'll call you my teacher.
The princess proudly retorted. Despite the bravado, the princess had never touched chess. The defeat made her study in earnest, acknowledging the other as a teacher. Well, first she learned the knights, bishops, rooks, and queen. Then how to defend, attack, capture, and checkmate.
I have learned all there is to learn.
Barely out of childhood, the princess raced into games of chess. Those who looked down on her faced many losses. Those who glorified themselves forfeited in a mess. At her prime, none could rival her at all. But she still recalled what the stranger said.
My origins bring dark omens. So never tell others where your teacher is from.
Then, the waves of the Chrysos War washed over the world. The Achaemons welcomed a ruler. She was deemed Imperator and loved to play chess with herself. She regarded all things as pieces, whether Chrysos heirs or Titans magnificent. Before every god-slaying campaign, she thought of the stranger from her childhood, as if that woman had always lived in her mind.
Isn't it lonely to play chess against yourself?
The princess did not understand at the time. But now, she who bore the crown finally realized. The flame chase's beginning was like fuel being tossed onto the fire, and in the unending road of marching banners and war cries, she finally had the time to meditate. There were often jesters behind the king, curious about her past in her old city lost to time. One claimed the Imperator was cruel, executing her own teacher. Another stated the Imperator was biased, learning from an enemy hostage. Many such rumors abounded, with no origin found.
No matter. That was indeed the criminal sentence I read out.
The Imperator stated evenly,
My teacher was an enemy hostage whom my elders had imprisoned. Her state betrayed our alliance and must be executed according to law. But she taught me chess, so why can't I chisel the word teacher on her tombstone now?
when the princess personally cleaned up the possessions of the dead, she caught sight of an incomplete game on the ground. The stranger's hoarse chuckle still echoed in her ear, laughing at the eternal fate of imprisonment, and at how the one facing her was the princess of the enemy.
Is this your final game for me, my teacher?
The princess imagined the end game over and over. Even when she took the imperial crown, she still dreamt of the black and white board. The concealed truths suddenly dawned on her during a more difficult contest in the future. An unfinished game might be the opponent's lifelong barrier. The Imperator's army stormed into the northern states for the first time, passing through city gates scorched by war.
Another tyrant still!
So exclaimed the angry child. The rock tossed from up high hit the girl's crown. The crowd shrieked and retreated, fearful of a ruler's flames of fury. The girl reached out, not to straighten the crown on her head, but to help up the child shivering in dread.
I heard in the old laws of this land, whoever assaults the crown shall be punished. But I wear another land's crown. And your old laws should also be abolished.
After many days, the Gold Weaver discovered in shock that wearing a crown or a hat to the side was now this land's fashion, likely to remain with the Imperator's name in tradition. The so-called heroes with golden blood in their veins all have the qualities to fight for the core flames. Who's to say this was not the gods' plan? To have the heroes at each other's throats so the divine could hide in old Law's lair and laugh, play, and gloat. Who made this world a chessboard and with one stroke, one river, created the boundary between God and man?
Dux Gladiorum, Dux Carminum, Dux Helcalithist, Dux Fragoris, Dux Brumalis. Heed my call!
The girl stood before a mighty army with her scepter.
Today, I will insist on crossing the Rubicon. Gather the might of all heroes and begin the journey to slay gods!
Half of the core flames were now in her hands, and the hidden trickery titan stirred, leaving taunts. The Imperator summoned the heroes to discuss, finally stopping after much hesitation. As they had already pinned down the bones of Earth's beast, they let that thief live for a bit longer in bliss. The warrior of the fractured blade laughed boldly.
Our sovereign is good at open strategies and struggles with trickery. But where is that live fish?
The Imperator replied with a chuckle.
Her? She probably disliked the scent of cats and submerged herself in the baths.
The years spent with her dukes didn't seem too far distant. Yet only after the end of many wars did the heroes discover how the Imperator's form walked more and more alone.
The road of a ruler is a lonely one. One day, we'll only be able to see her retreating form.
The Swordmaster of Singing Waves was worried too. When all others had departed in intoxication, the two of them gazed into each other's eyes, towards torrents deeper than their fates, and sank into profound silence.
Drink one more cup with me, my dear follower.
In the end, the Imperator first broke the silence.
When compared to the taste of salt and blood, I sometimes miss your ambrosia.
About the destruction soon to be born and the eternally occurring extrapolation, the Anti-Catherians spoke of all this in words unceasing.
So this is the old world I must fight against.
The girl's expression bore no sorrow or tragedy. Instead, she looked more solemn and ready than ever. Whoever stated that two kings could not meet face to face in chess?
I am the sovereign of Akama. I once faced the gods. So what do I have to fear about the laws hanging behind such gods? I will chop up the old laws and let them be firewood for the new.
No matter the cost. That was the Imperator's lifelong conviction. Never changed, always persistent.
dreamed that the Imperator's statue stood before the world-wearing altar, her gaze level with that of the gods. Then, blood gushed out from the statue's orifices, and the people, in cheers and elation, washed their hands in that golden blood. The tyrant's life will end with violent death. None will weep, and all will cheer as her statue topples. She will die before the dawn comes.
A vengeful aristocrat, one whose title was stripped by the Imperator, thus spoke.
We cannot agree with your excessive deeds. You have imprisoned Trebios' split selves, demanding that divine authority regress into the ruler's mouthpiece. We will reveal your future with the prophecy, and tell in truth. Your crusade will indeed be a smooth path, yet in the same breath, we see omens of your death, a demise in an absolute pure darkness. Even so, please excuse us, as our eyes continue to be drawn to your crown's flames. Dux Vitorum. You don't exactly hate that name.
In the name of Yanisopolis' priestess, holy maiden, and oracle, thus spoke the Imperator's Dux Vitorum.
Allow me to remind you, your life is now on a countdown with the fall of law, and you will become law. I must confirm, is our deal still going strong? Is the future I promised you more satisfying than the future in the prophecy? Ah, you are as resolute as always. Good. Oh, as ever, this prison of gods, amphorious and all mundane and average worlds, needs someone like you. A daring ruler. Let us end this despicable extrapolation together.
Amphorius is Theoros, the Imperator's co-conspirator, Lycurgus, thus spoke.
The Imperator betrayed the Flame Chase Alliance. And I was the sinner who paved the way for her achievements. Like how a deep-sea fish cannot escape the tide's push and pull. I granted her an end fitting for a tyrant. Her dying smile, gazed towards my tear-swelled eyes. She commanded me to wash away all sins and filth, and return a blinding dawn to the holy city. She commanded me to set up stones and monuments, in lightless seabeds to commemorate our friends. But who will remember her achievements? I will. I will rest with her in a lonely song.
Electra, the last heir of the ocean, who played music on the waves alone, spoke thus.
Please record the truth of my life, dear author. No need for words of praise or solemnity. Just as I once instructed Dux Carminum, the histories of rulers are not for recording our merits, but for warning future generations. As for why the Imperator died, and what reproach she would face in life and death, those should be left for the new world to judge. Now I have personally entered my end, a self-flagellation. Let the boiling gold covering the holy city be stamped with my name. For I am certain I have won half a move against the gods, And this unfinished game will be left to the future to reach completion.
Saridra, the only Imperator the Holy City had ever seen, spoke thus. Who will win? The fanatical followers of the Eon of Erudition, or the audacious plots of the monarch playing against heaven? The Atavissearch Forest's monkey creatures, the steel soldiers reviving the Emperor, that Theoros' visage of arrogance. On her chessboard, all faded to null.
In the name of Amphorius, I will grant freedom to blind faith.
The monarch stood before the inorganic throne, driving the scepter into the Emperor's vacant gaze. Even the gods beyond the sky shall crumble like the Titans, as she swears to seize the glory of conquering the stars. Who will win? The immortal faithfuls of the Eon of Abundance, or the storms dancing between the chessmaster's fingertips? The pawns slay the birds, the horses trample the wolves, the chariots smash the trees, and the queen severs the head of pestilence.
In the name of Amphorius, I will grant immortality eternal rest.
The Xianzhou lays forth the ocean's tribute, which the monarch grants to her loyal Gladius. And upon that night's sorrow-marked visage appears a smile, precious and rare. Who will win? The raging waves of war from the Eon of Destruction, or the sharp blades of the Empress that has never tasted defeat? Even in the face of the power that swallows the stars, neither monarch nor subject faltered. They would prove their golden blood outshines the lifeblood of the gods themselves.
In the name of Amphorius, I will grant destruction to the destruction.
The monarch's core flame supplants the flames of annihilation. Soldiers drink deep of the golden blood of the blemished one. She has slain the wellspring of tragedy, once again usurping destiny's crown. Who will win? The light of the esteemed gods beyond the sky, or the core flame lighting up the world in the Imperator's heart? The fury of the stars surges headlong, boiling at the edge of the galactic empire. Mighty factions thrust into her realm, yearning to seize back the splendor of old.
In the name of Amphorius.
Stellar winds scatter the enemy's remaining ashes, as golden blood once again congeals into familiar epitaphs. The master of the infinite cosmos lifts the edict high, declaring to her boundless, ceaseless realm,
I shall conquer the heavens, and all stars shall submit.
Chuckling, the Imperator tosses her final pawn, her previous delusions withering away during the game. She wiped off the formations that were purely imaginary and caught a glimpse of rust blooming upon the throne. On the night before the monarch faced fate, she left behind a grand dream of conquering the stars. In time, she shall become but a humble pawn, so that this grand illusion retains a sliver of truth.
This world's game is nearing its conclusion, but in the distant future.
For the raging and burning ambition, for the flame chase through 30 million creations, for the Imperator's realm and all her citizens. Who will win?
I will win. Amborius will win.
Huh, so the last chapter was just her ambitions, huh? Wow, I can't believe you can't skip through pages like that. Alright, I think we have enough time for one more. Wave Storming Night, Electra. Chapter 1, Banquet Sonata.
The black tide that blotted out the sky surrounded the city walls. The soldiers manning the walls, battered from battle. Melodious chords of music were suddenly heard. A single swordmaster had overcome the waves of enemies. The song flowed from betwixt the blades, breaking through formations as a dorsal fin cleaving the waves. When the last wicked beast finally fell, shattered into pieces amidst the sword's dance, the frost blade bore no trace of blood.
The legions of heroes under my command are as vast as the sea, yet lack a formidable sword banner.
The commander extended a hand, inviting the musician to join. Should a fish separated from its school glimpse a faint glow, it will swim toward the light. The swordmaster clasped the commander's hand, as though gently grasping the hilt of a keen blade. When the spray of her waves extinguished the fires of war from the holy city, a golden name was engraved upon the stone pillars. The former commander burned the crown to become king.
High Sealands, brave in battle, triumphant in command. I grant you the title Dux Gladiorum. Let us all forge ahead together.
During the banquet after the battle, the weaver tailored for her a splendid dress, and the commander poured her honey brew. Her golden-blooded comrades gathered about her, chanting her new name, urging her to play that splendid music. The candlelight danced and mingled with flowing drink, swords and song ringing out in unison. Yet none knew that was once a lonely melody from the deep sea. The music of revelry continued for a long time, until the whispers of conspiracies were buried in the songs, until the roars of lethal struggle shattered the music. Legend holds that they who bear the weight of a pillar shall one day return to where it stands. Those who tug at the earth shall end amongst the mountains. Those who sow dawn and dusk shall remain eternal in the sky. And she would once again return to the pitch-black sea, and she would once again sing her music alone. The bountiful ocean, with the banquets of bygone days, stir as futile bubbles at the bottom of a glass. Many years later, the song once played by that swordmaster was played by future generations in the Holy City. The people knew the demigod of the seas was still a noble captain. She possessed peerless swordsmanship and a song that is passed down through the ages. It was just that she had long since vanished. Guests at the banquet sometimes spoke of her, but it was only a prayer between their cups.
High ceilings, melody of the waves, bless our night that we may drink deep and dance till dawn.
When entering the Flame Chase's currents for the first time, all the Swordmaster saw were colorful fish. She had already experienced the Imperator's dangerous games. She had long grown used to the giant beast's silent face. Carminum's charms and Helcalithist's gentleness warmed her like a spring breeze. But as Fragoris missed his throne and Bramalis debated with joy, she was sometimes at a loss. Occasionally, the Swordmaster would sink into hesitation, and even that messenger of fate could not get her to laugh. Till one day, a golden trout's bubbles floated into her gloomy waters. In that holy city where golden figs grew, the messenger of fate led to her a maiden dressed in glamorous gowns.
What kind of clothes are you even wearing?
The girl snickered behind her hand, while the messenger pulled on her sleeve.
Aggie, don't be rude!
Such hubris, delicate fish. Are you not aware that there's food on your face?
The messenger's eyes opened wide.
Aggie, you've been snacking behind my back again!
Exposing me like this! I'll get my revenge.
The girl ran away in a fit. The Swordmaster smiled, and before she knew it, her hesitation was gone. After that first meeting, the richly dressed girl often came in greeting.
So, you really came from the Sea of Souls? Do all the children of the ocean dress funny like this?
The Swordmaster did not chase the girl away, but also did not respond. So the girl used her hands to meticulously measure the Swordmaster's torso all around.
You can't be seen like this. I'll send you a new dress.
Some days later, the Swordmaster appeared in finery at a ball. All were awed by her splendor, with only the Imperator thinking in wonder.
How rare to see you like this. Oh, so lonely, Gladius.
The Swordmaster's wardrobe grew full, and people praised Akima's Gold Weaver for her cheerfulness and splendid skill. But only the Swordmaster noticed that the smile on the girl's face gradually faded as the flame chase progressed. The calamity of lands asunder added to the girl's weariness. The Battle of the Grove robbed the light from the girl's eyes. Yet another feast arrived where the Gold Weaver was absent. The Swordmaster donned the most majestic garments and gently knocked on that door shut tight. The singing voice of Dux Gladiorum hailed the prelude of the feast. Guests clamored and cups clinked, and only the Gold Weaver had no thought of enjoying the ambrosia.
Who would have thought? I've sunk so low that I need you to comfort me.
She gave a bitter chuckle next to the bonfire.
You were as gloomy as the bedrock of the ocean when we first met.
The Swordmaster held a tall chalice containing liquid pure, reflecting their two faces.
I remember you were once curious about the stories under the sea. Then allow me to use my songs to reveal the past known to none.
In the depths of the Sea of Souls was a kingdom of dancing ghosts. Its residents all had melodious voices, and music enveloped every ocean current. For the queen loved her people deeply, thus drowning out all sorrows and leaving only feasts and twirls. Only one rocky castle was silent, one belonging to the Princess of the Ocean, a princess named Electra. Were a monster of the depths to invade, the princess would raise her sword to engage. The people always rang her triumphs before she returned, for her swordsmanship was superb, never suffering defeat.
Princess! Come enjoy the feast with us.
The triumphant people raised their glasses, yet she declined, with a smile and a wave. The children of the sea thought she was shy, but little did they know that in the dead of night, her castle too echoed with music. Though that music was loud, twisted, and invoked spite. Before a song even finished, the princess was already biting her lips, and the sea foam brushed away her tears.
All of your people sing and dance with skill. So why do I alone lack a good singing voice?
The princess wept, her face on the queen's knees.
The ocean's favorite child can control the waves and is invincible in battle. In exchange, Talantin took away your singing voice.
The queen consoled the princess, caressing the other's hair bun. Finally, she relented and took a chalice.
If you're truly troubled, then imbibe the honey brew in this blessed chalice and throw yourself into the feast at ease.
The liquid in the cup sat still, reflecting her loneliness.
Princess, come sing with us!
The people outside her window invited her warmly still. She finally ceased to hesitate, drinking down all the honey brew in one swallow, and leaped into the crowds. She played music and sang, smiling and dreaming. When her song was over, it felt as if waking from a dream. The people rushed to raise their glasses. But as soon as the honey brew touched her lips, the princess plummeted to the ground, and her cheeks became rosy in drunkenness. The whispers of the ocean filled her ears as the princess fell drunk again and again at the prelude of a feast.
Seems like you still have not been able to get rid of that curse.
The gold weaver softly took the cup away from her hand.
If you want to enjoy yourself to the fullest, then leave this honey brew till the very end.
She smiled, then tilted the cup towards the gold weaver's lips.
Even if one is burdened with imperfections, I beg you to remember not to refuse that sip filled with fantasy and dreams.
She returned home after many years. The princess of the ocean stood alone with her sword drawn, stepping over the blooming blood of her peers. Before her, the creator of the sea sirens and the mother goddess of feasts was already sinking into the drunkenness of imminent death. When the blood pact of the law won over the ocean's core flame, the sea siren once again lost her melodious voice.
I'm willing to accept the final Imperial command. But it is a pity that our feast was ultimately a mirage.
The deep sea became a silent place of dwelling. Hugging her knees, Electra locked herself in. Savage and fearsome monsters swam past her, but none dared to interrupt her tragic dream. Till one day, a golden trout's bubbles floated into her gloomy waters.
Long time no see, Gladius. Icyland. Now you have truly become the ocean's bedrock.
Old friends met again, and new friends came in greeting. Many messengers came in company. The playful kitten hid behind the golden trout. The butterfly of the deadly shadow fluttered in courtesy.
If you don't mind,
The resplendent pearl sparkled.
we hope you can regain your strength and sing for the world once again.
Electra raised her violin sword in doubt, as the strings had long ago rusted and snapped. But a few golden strands cleansed all the filth around her, then stretched out to become new strings. The golden strings showed Electra that the world she loved was not yet silent, and the journey of deliverance continued still. Yet the path to the Sea of Stars would not be a carefree feast. The golden trout never met with her again, and the waves brought endless news of sorrow. Amidst the long wait, she remained bound by decree. All the flames had died out, extinguished until this world fell into eternal silence. And the wordless enemies in the deep sea were the audience of this rite, the Thors.
You already know that the world is just an illusion.
The sea siren gazed out beyond the heavens and once more raised her glass to fill it with honey brew.
since the mirage of pleasures can only disappear like foam. When you return, will you save some ocean spray for me?
This was a city of festivities, where never-ceasing songs eternally filled the air. Chrysosairs, demigods, and mortals all came to feast from the four corners of the world. It was beautiful and radiant, performing the sea siren's drama amidst the revelry. The siren once longed for the banquet to never end, yet she witnessed the music fade and the guests disperse. As a fish, she was destined to drift with the waves, whether amidst the surging tides of evil or immersed in the currents of the starry sea. Until a millennium later, when the fish from beyond the sky finally took their seat.
I enjoy banquets. How about you, little Grey Fry?
Having beheld the monarch's gift, she completed her demigod's destiny. The tides within her heart recede, and her requiem draws near. A sliver of light fell from a crack on the cave's ceiling. A blazing ray pierces the surface of the sea. An aching urge to chase the light wells within her, and with a flick of her tail, she drifts toward the breach. In the deep sea, 1,000 years passed. The sea siren once swam to the shore with unwavering will. Fish gathered in silent procession to escort the princess to her final rest. The moment she leapt free from the water, she felt the waves stirred by peals of laughter. Mirages of her friends shimmered and faded, and songs of joy rang out from the shore, just as she had wished. Dux Forgoris sliced the Dromus flank with a time-worn edge. Dux Brumalis cast an icy chalice, steaming with the breath of frost. Dux Halcolithist brimmed her vessel with honey brew, while Dux Carminum unfurled a scroll of new verse.
At last, you have arrived, our belated musician.
The Gold Weaver's silver needles hover in the air, weaving beautiful outfits for her. Electra accepts the gift that does not exist, as salty water wets her new attire. She knows this is not reality. Just like the world she loves, mere foam in the sea of stars.
Even so.
She drank down the aurora lights in the cup, as intoxication flew from her fingers into music and song. In the drunkenness granted by her mother, in the dream granted by that drunkenness, in the feast granted by that dream.
I, too, shall have my fill of feasts.
Now sober, she begins one last song. The musician plucks her strings in the spring, and the waltzing hem stirs the water into waves, revealing memories in throngs. She sings of the once awakened Titan, how the princess accompanied the queen to swim in azure waves. She sings of the confident and dashing monarch, of loyal knights who marched with the Imperator to seize the solemn states. She sang of the one destined by heaven's will, of demigods who bore 1,000 years of watch for the hero. She sang of that little gray fry, and how the Gladius defended the Deliverer from Apocalypse's storms. She sang of herself, a cup made of fish bones, ever waiting for someone to banish the nihility within, pouring the honey brew of fate for her to the brim. She sang until her voice turned hoarse, and the spirit water she held was no more. The honey brew ran out, the final notes dispersed, and the feast of fantasy shattered in turn. Before the deadly quiet seashore, she gave one final smile, then faded into sea foam.
To the fish from beyond the sky, we shall sink into the past.
For she had glimpsed the sky beyond the cave, and chose to believe in the promised future, embracing a hope as fragile as mist.
You must carry the new sun and swim toward the distant horizon.
That's the conclusion of Isolence. Wow. Man. Like holding back. Yeah, pretty much every time I open my mouth, I start coughing. Oh, that sucks. But what was that in Act 3 where she meets with Serene? What's up with that? Was that part of the fake world? Because Lygus appeared. She was in there for a long time, huh? Yeah. The thing about her losing her Little Mermaid herself was unexpected. It's nice seeing the relationship between her and Aglaya, though. Yeah, Aglaya really didn't. No, actually, Aglaya actually had like a lot of bonds. Cause she had Cypher and Tribby, and she's no, just those two, huh? Like Hyacinth and Aglaya are like pretty much just acquaintances. They didn't really have like any like major bonding moments. Yeah, she was like really close to Aglaya. That's interesting. But I call it a night there. That's super interesting. So next time we'll be going on to Cypher. Yeah, pretty much the bomb row, huh? We'll be doing the bomb row except for Finon. So until then, thank you everyone for joining me today, and I will see you all next time. Bye bye!